about it, talk about it, talk about it. Alright, how are we sounding today? Hear myself? Good, good. Great. Set up our notebooks. Happy Tuesday, game biologist. Great to see you in the chat. Hope you got your design thinky brain on. Gonna do a lot of fun stuff today. Everything appears to be in order. That was the reason that I was talking about sesame balls on Twitter. That was my breakfast, lunch, first meal of the day. I had a podcast interview with We're Not Wizards earlier today. Should be going up in about a week or so. So that was super exciting. And I was hungry, so I was like, what can I eat right now that is really fast and I can make quickly? And instead of doing that, I heated up some sesame balls because they're delicious and amazing. And if you never had them before, you should eat them because they're great. So yeah, back to our Tuesday board game design streams. Did miss out on last week. I was at J.R. Honeycutt's game design retreat in Portland, which was absolutely fabulous. I didn't know what to expect. It was the first time I'd been to one of these retreats. And so I was like, oh, I don't know what's going to be happening. I'll probably have time to hang out or whatever. And it ended up being just hyper focused from when we woke up in the morning to when we went to sleep, and variable at 3 or 4 o'clock at night, or I guess also in the morning. Just testing, giving people feedback, redesigning, coming up with new game ideas, talking about game ideas. So it was totally great, and I definitely recommend it if you ever have the opportunity to go to one. The retreats are for a week. You can come for as much or as little as you want. You can just come for a night. JR does them rents out a house, so gets a bunch of rooms, so you have a place to sleep. Food is planned and taken care of, although people tend to chip in with cooking and cleaning, that kind of thing. So it's a very just fascinating symbiosis of really cool, smart, interesting people in one space working on games together. Very productive. Even just getting away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, I found to be super helpful. A good number of them are in St. Louis. This one was in Portland. He's doing another one in Maine in about a month, like right after PAX Unplugged. I had so much fun in Portland. I'm going to go to the one in Maine as well. And I'm very excited, looking forward to that and getting more games done. Hello, Senior Bob. Welcome, welcome. Email says, met JR at Grand Con. Lots of chilling and chatting time there. All the cool kids come to Grand Con. Is this, oh my gosh, this is the continued not so subtle push to come to Grand Con. I want to go. Where is that again? I can't spell. Grand Con. Because I think it's also in a state. We probably talked about this before. Oh, it's in Michigan. Yeah. I gotta go to Michigan. One of my life goals, bucket list things, is to hit every state. And Michigan is one, right, that I have not been to yet. So double reason to go to Grand Con. Also triple reason, I like going to new conventions. So at least once per year, going to a convention that I've never been to before. It's hard to squeeze in so many. And all the ones I go to, I want to go back to. So it gets to be pretty tough. But there's always new stuff at new cons. Like, I've been to Grand Con before, I haven't been to Metatopia or Protospiel before, so those are definitely ones I want to go to. My new ones this year were Origins and Gamma I went to as well. I want to go back to GDC. There's just so many. It's like, I just want that to be my life, going to conventions. Cindy Bob would consider going to one of those design retreats. Actually, I'm going to post the thing here for, oh my gosh, Waitress board games. Because otherwise it doesn't come up. Yes, retreats, perfect. Because if you are interested, you can join the Facebook group. There's a Discord for the retreats. And there's a website as well. Definitely recommend if you're able to. I think the price is very reasonable. It's like $1,000 for the whole week. That includes lodging and food. I would even say if you're still on the stage of doing a lot of testing, like if you're not so worried about pitching or meeting new publishers, or if you've pitched stuff to publishers and you're kind of starting to get some feedback, I would even recommend this over going to a traditional convention just for getting stuff done. It's definitely something that, you know, there never seems to be enough time to push those games forward to their next step. And this is really great for that. I'm going to post the link. Senior Bob, one of the cool kids. Yes, all of the cool kids going to Grand. So I've never been to Grand Con, so I'm obviously not even close to being a cool kid. Convenient drive from my house in Portland. Senior Bob is definitely one of the cool kids. There's Protospiel in Minnesota in January, also another state. All of those northern states I need to hit up. Because I've driven across the country a few times in like the middle and the south, but I haven't made it up to the north yet to check out all those places. So I gotta do that. Add to my list. What else? Oh, shoot. I keep forgetting stuff. There's also PAX South in January. Shoot. I remembered because I was going to submit to PAX South. Shoot, is that already passed? November. Wait, PAX East and GDC submissions are open. No. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad. Yeah, I was gonna submit. Indie Mega Booth does a board game focused showcase at PAX South. Pretty sure they've stopped doing board games for the rest of the PAXs. If you don't know, Indie Mega Booth is a great showcase for indie games, obviously. Used to do board games everywhere. I did it a couple of years for Convabula Rasa, which is now And Then We Died. It was very productive, some of the best traffic that I've gotten at a show, and it's just a great stamp of approval on your game. You know, it's like official selection of the Indie Mega Booth. Yeah. PAX, are they not doing PAX South? I'm like, sorry, I'm confused now. South Indie Showcase. Maybe it's under a different name. Maybe Indie Mega Booth isn't doing it. No, maybe it's just the Tabletop Indie Showcase. I'm gonna do some research for this. 20. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, Tabletop Indie Showcase. Maybe that's, wow. Because Indie Mega Booth used to do it, but I'm not seeing it on their site. So this is a good resource. Got a couple more weeks on this. If you do have a game that you think is in a good position, what are games, what's the criteria for Indie Mega Booth for board game submissions? I would say they look for stuff that will look fairly polished. So they look for also like weirder stuff. They want to have a good mix of games, diversity of gameplays, I think is important for them. But yeah, PAX South is in San Antonio. It's a great show. It's a little more chill than some of the other big PAXs. San Antonio is really nice. I really enjoy it. And getting your game into a showcase like this, it's kind of like if you're thinking about going, if it's not too much of a hassle to get out there, doesn't really, no skin off your back to submit, and it can just like feel really great and really motivate yourself to get selected for a thing like this. So because I'm thinking that, I'm going to post the link to that. Because is cool to check out. It's a very useful show. Cool, we got showcases, we got retreats, we got all sorts of fun stuff, and now we gotta make some games, right? I was thinking for today, for the kinds of things I do on this show, I've been doing a lot of brainstorming lately, and I have a lot of games that I'm working on right now. Like, front of mind, focused games. I'm just gonna start writing stuff out here, just to remind myself. Side dish. Storytelling game where you are your recipe. Actually, I'm gonna post this as well. How much time does this have? 4 days. So if you like submitting to competitions, if you have a role-playing game that's food focused that you've been working on, or think you can come up with something really quick, there's the Our Little Food Jam game jam on itch.io. If you haven't heard of Itch, it's a really cool place. Not really for like printed board games, although there's a way to do that, but they have a lot of role-playing games, storytelling games that are distributed digitally, and I think there's a way to do it physically as well. So as a designer, it can be a great place to get your games out there kind of in a quicker, easier way. It's PDFs and people print on demand, that kind of thing. And I love contests. This Food Jam one looks super cool. So this is the one that I'm working on right now. Wonderful Glory. Founder. Oh, cool. I'm seeing the founder badges in here. Thanks, Wonderful Glory. Oh. Yes, that's another thing that we can discuss. Oh my gosh, I'm like on Twitter right now and I can't tweet. It's another thing. We will get to designing games, I swear, but there's just so much exciting stuff going on right now that I want to talk about. A lot of interesting stuff in the space. Yes. Sorry about the Button Shy contest. There was, what, like 223 submissions? In case y'all haven't heard about this, which you probably have, because it's a big deal. Button Shy, Jason Tagmeyer, they do 18-card wallet games. They've started doing contests for monthly, every month. They do a new one with a new theme. Last month's was every card, it's only one card. So 18 cards all look exactly identical. They have different fronts and backs. Yeah, so they had 220 plus submissions, 20 finalists were picked, so that's like 10%, like super, super crazy competitive. But if you haven't watched their video, I'm going to post that as well because it is incredibly valuable as a game designer just to see the thoughts for such a very particular game design constraint, to see the kinds of things that people come up with, just the diversity of ideas, like for such a limited challenge, such a variety of different things that people came up with. But yeah, I am sorry that your game did not get selected. I wish every game could be selected to be the finalist, but it does sound like there was some stiff competition. But yeah, just developing it. I love the competitions in that someone is selected and potentially is being published by Button Shy, but also just you can get an idea that you're really excited about and work on it. Sometimes all it needs is a little bit more work before it's ready to be out in the world. So I'm excited to test that. I don't think, did I test it? Because a bunch of people in our design group were working on that challenge. I don't think I sat down and played any of the submissions. But yeah, I'm excited to test it. So grab me. Maybe tomorrow or whenever you want to. Cindy Rob says, I was actually at Protospiel in Madison, Wisconsin last weekend. Got my robot game played once. Nice. CrafterCon too. Oh my gosh, all these cons. I don't even know about CrafterCon. Ooh. Oh, you know, I do know. Of course I know about CrafterCon. The Game Crafter one. Nice. Dun, 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 dun. Generally end up bringing the session videos afterwards. Some good marketing stuff in there. Oh, binging, not bringing. Binging on the session one. That's nice. Anywhere that records the videos for stuff, I really appreciate that. Man. All these things floating around in my head right now. I was like, man, I've done so many panels, and most of them for PAX. They often aren't recorded, although sometimes people will record them. I record the audio for a good number of them, and then I just forget about it. It's all saved in my phone somewhere. I'm like, I gotta go through so many things to do and put those up, because there's some really good stuff. I loaned you some paper for the game jam. Nice. All right. I was looking at the food jam where I posted it. Right. I was just like thinking about cons and talks and going to different places, contests, side dish. Coming back to some of the games that I'm working on. So I've been thinking about for the show whether I want to focus, like just coming up with completely new ideas. I'd love to do at least a little bit of that because I think it can be very productive. But I also have a ton of stuff, including things we've all come up with together on the show that I haven't been able to move forward with. And that's kind of a bummer, right? Y'all have given so many amazing suggestions and coming up with amazing ideas. So I feel bad not getting this stuff into the world. Like, these are such cool ideas. The world needs to know about the... What is it? We had like a squirrel... Some sort of squirrel game. There's a lot of squirrel stuff. There's fungi that would take over other plants. There's red light, green light. There's like a political intrigue game a few months back. Lots of good stuff. All right. Yeah, so I'm just going to write some of the stuff that I've been thinking about. Have that up here, maybe do a brainstorm, and then maybe brainstorm on some of my game topics that I'm thinking about. Split the loot. All right, side dish, storytelling game where you are your recipe. So this is for our little food jam. The idea is storytelling, role-playing. Each person brings their own recipe, or the game will also come with a number of recipes. And my thesis, I haven't actually had a chance to prove this, hopefully in testing tomorrow, because there's 4 days until the jam is over. I really want to get it submitted. My thesis is you can tell what kind of person someone is by I'm gonna put recipes they make, love, share, keep, etc. And I want recipes to be fairly broad for this game, so anything like, can I get this thing to come up? I have some really good examples in my own recipe list because I cook. I like to cook. Let's see, waffle recipes. And I have different recipes like that my family has shared with me. Different things my mom will photocopy from the recipe book, which is super cool because you have the crumbs, as weird as it sounds, the crumbs and the grease and just little things in there that remind you, oh, this came from someone. This is a recipe that's potentially been passed down for years. I think this is a good one. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love this. Make sure it's showing up there. Yeah. So this is the kind of, and again, I don't know, I think it's cool. It might be kind of gross too, because it's like, this is a cookbook, right? Over time, depending on how careful you are, I guess some people keep their cookbooks pristine, but This is one of ours. I think sometimes they'll get spots and stuff on them over time. This is a well-loved recipe, right? This is something I grew up eating, vegetarian dish, something that I've had many times, that I've made many times. And it tells a little bit of a story, right? As opposed to, and somebody might have a book like that that's well used, well loved. And then other people might just have a saved recipe in I have to post my recipe document over here. Yeah. So I have my recipe master list that I use to keep track of things. I'm very organized. Also, I will lose them if they're not in here. So some of them are those photocopied recipes. Some of them are just from websites, but I make notes in the digital form. Someone else might write actual notes onto a piece of paper. Other ones might be a recipe in Google Docs or in a Word doc that someone emailed to you. Yeah. So on and so forth. Melty cheese. There's another good one in here. Yeah, that's probably enough of those. So yeah, panakaka. Some of them are cultural recipes, right, that have been passed down through generations. So for this game, side dish, the idea is a bunch of people are coming together for some sort of a situation. Maybe it's a baby shower, maybe it's a gathering of friends, maybe it's a family get together. It's a potluck, but the idea is there's a main dish that's being prepared by the host. So none of the people playing in this game are the hosts, but there's like a chili or a roast turkey or whatever the main dish is going to be. And so all of the recipes that go along with this are appetizers or desserts, things adjacent to the main meal. So we're all kind of building things around this central pivot point. So the kinds of recipes people could bring to this game is like, I have this recipe that's been passed down through my family. I have strong family ties. Depending on the number of ingredients in the recipe, like this is a very simple but hearty recipe. Someone else could have a recipe with like 20 ingredients. It's very complex. Maybe they don't cook very often, but they want to impress someone, so that recipe says something about that person. Someone else could have a recipe that's chips and salsa, right? I don't cook, not me personally, but this character, I don't cook. I'm going to go to the store and pick up these things. Yeah, so that's my thesis anyways. I want to get this out into the world, start sharing it, have some people play test it potentially when it's a little more fleshed out, because still have the mechanization of it is something that I'm working out. I was talking to someone at the design retreat about the difference between a storytelling game and a role-playing game. And we talked about a lot of things, but one of the main differences is having mechanics. So it's not just coming up with a creative story together. It's more a game, I think. It's probably a good way to put it. So I want to find a way to mechanize the recipes. So something like number of ingredients. There's a call and response to it. So the people who aren't in the scene, that's the other thing. Each group of people are going to, each person is going to have their own scene in time leading up to the big event, right? So someone is ingredient shopping, and that's a scene based on their recipe. Someone is cooking. Someone else is cooking. Someone's driving to the event. So it's not all specifically about cooking this recipe. It's just that, the recipes that we choose to prepare say a lot about us. Choose to prepare or not prepare. So each scene gonna have at least 2 people, and all the people are gonna be intertwined. Like, hey, I'm cooking this thing. One of the people in the group is my mom, and I don't remember some of the steps, so I'm gonna call her up. So we'll have a scene where we're on the phone talking about our stuff, and the people not in the scene are gonna read through the ingredients as story beats, basically. So if you go back to like a panakaka, they might say like eggs, and that's like the setup of the scene. They might say flour, so now I'm mixing in the flour, and then salt, like the third ingredient. Something goes wrong, so it's like, or there's some conflict that's introduced. I'm actually coming up with some of this stuff just as I'm talking to you. This is cool. Third ingredient, and I might have it. I don't think I'll have actual recipes here because there's copyright. You know, I don't want to just like steal a bunch of recipes off the internet and like take people's work, but have like the muffins as a recipe, and then kind of like in a video game, right? Like in Breath of the Wild, where you're making kebabs and the recipes are like meat and mushrooms, because that's all it takes to make kebabs, where really it's a lot more complicated. You can just call out the key ingredient. Conflict introduced, and last ingredient is the denouement, where everything's wrapped up. Yeah. So the idea is to keep things moving. The people outside of the scene would have the story beats, you know, almost like the Greek chorus in the background saying things and keeping up the energy, introducing elements potentially. That was another idea I'd had for conflict introduced by chorus. So the chorus would say something like, you add, they'll do the physical motions, like you're talking and having this scene, and the chorus is like, you go to add salt, but you realize you're out of salt. And, or you go to add flour, and you realize that your roommates used up all the flour. So some ways of introducing other elements to the story. So I have a lot of the pieces of here. You have your recipe, go through a number of scenes, even just setting up the context of this storytelling game. I should actually just bring up the document here. Oh, not that one. No, also not that one. Side dish. Side dish. Yeah. Nope. Come to the light. No, don't close. I got too many tabs open. Cool. Oh my gosh. I don't know what has happened here. What have you done? A role-playing game for 2 to 6 hungry people. Yeah, so you have your event, baby shower, wake, that kind of thing. And then you have a modifier about the event to kind of build some tension even before you start playing the game. Something has happened since all of you last got together, so there's some framing of the story, and then you're moving through the different scenes of the story. So it's pretty good. I think there's a decent amount of stuff here. I think the one thing I would like to add is something a little more mechanical. So I had the mechanics of using the ingredients for moments, story beats, giving story elements to it, but I do always come back to how is it a game? I mean, it doesn't have to be a game, but sometimes having a little bit like, how are we playing? And especially, how does all the pieces of this make it easy for people? Like someone would say like, oh, we'll play side dish. This is going to be super easy. We're going to sit down. It's not going to be very complicated for you to jump into this game. So that's important. And then also like, we're playing here, you know, how do we make it fun? Instead of sucky, boring. can we make it fun? Yeah, maybe that's how I'll do it. I realize I'm like live coming up with this ideas for how I'm going to run the show while I'm on the show. That could be cool to like work through some of the stuff that I'm working on. And then maybe right at the end we'll do like a brainstorm to get everyone's energy up and come up with some new ideas. And on a high note. Then we can feel super productive. Alright. I was riffing over here for a while, so I'm going to check back in on chat and see what's happening. Senior Bob says, when I was in Madison, I picked up some pea salad at a grocery store deli, which I have some nostalgia for, because it was served at family gatherings, but wasn't as good. Wasn't as good as the one served at the family gatherings, I'm guessing. Yeah, you see the memories we have around recipes and food. I think that's also that's one of the touchstones that I'm trying to get with this game. Good gravy. Oh my gosh. Okay. Good gravy, yes. I'm kind of a gravy agnostic. Like, I love gravy. I mean, I like gravy. Gravy's great. I love things that go with gravy. Mashed potatoes, poutine. Phil, on the other hand, like, loves gravy. But my parents used to make very good from-scratch gravy. But I've gotten the packets, the cubes from the store that you just mix with water, and they seem to work pretty well. And they're a lot easier. Doesn't take much of a gathering to get folks showing up with food, absolutely. I had a game day on Saturday where everyone knew I was providing lunch and dinner, and still ended with a big tray of shrimp fried rice, Vietnamese egg rolls, and Madeleines getting brought. Also some Domino's pizza. Oh my gosh, you see, this is perfect. This is literally exactly what I'm talking, like the mixture here. And it's never the perfect dinner party, right? I think that's part of the thesis. Even if you try to plan things ahead of time or assign things to certain people, or some people do sides and some people do desserts, you know, somebody will bring a thing. They're like, oh, well, I was supposed to make sides, but I'm better at desserts, so we just end up with a ton of desserts. Or somebody is allergic to something, so they make a really interesting dish out of... maybe they had like a really good, like amazing cinnamon rolls, or but they usually recently had a tolerance issue with gluten, right? And so they can't make their cinnamon rolls anymore. So they're just known for bringing these cinnamon rolls to every gathering, but now they can't anymore. And the stress around that, and you know, what will people think about me? People are gonna miss this. Maybe we can make it and not eat it, and there's all sorts of emotions wrapped up in there. Tolerant. Or someone used to be a big meat eater and now they're vegetarian, or maybe they have a new partner, right, that has food intolerances, and you're trying to work through and navigate that. So I think there's interesting stories that can get all wrapped up in there. There's always Klingon recipes. Oh my gosh. This is my skeptical fit. Klingon. Klingon blood wine. Cooking with you. How to make... Oh my gosh. Klingon Gog, no doubt, is the iconic food of the modern Star Trek canon. Whether it's on The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, whenever a group of Klingon warriors congregate together, share a meal, and sing a song, there are two things which you can always be assured. A barrel of blood wine, and they'll have Gok. It's a Klingon delicacy made from serpent worms. Oh. Oh, cool. This is super cute. Wow. This is incredibly complex. But yeah, that's great. That's, I'm gonna post this, actually. Gonna add this to my list. That one friend who insists on bringing a recipe from their favorite movie or show. So yeah, what does it say about a person who is so intensely wants to share their passion that they bring this thing? Maybe it's really good, maybe it's kind of weird, but they have their identity wrapped up in this, not IP, this thing, this culture. And that's why I'm thinking, like, again, this is a game jam game. This is something I want to spend some time on, but it just came to me recently. Like, it's definitely not the focus of where my design is at, but I think I can come up with something cool and tell a cool story with the direction this is headed in. App-enabled game. Have all players load Yummly on their phones and search for recipes to contribute. Yeah, my idea too is that people could bring their own recipes. I think for the mechanization, it would have to be modified, or you'd only select, like, each recipe would have to have the same number of ingredients, and you'd highlight out, like, 5 key ingredients, and those would be the story beats. Something else mechanical, too. It's brewing in the back of my head for, you know, how else can we mechanize this? Maybe it doesn't matter, but could be interesting. Need a streaming director. Okay, now, yeah, read what the people are saying. Good gravy is as close as I generally come to an expletive. Nice. Good gravy. How about catering and gathering as a food-themed role-playing scenario? Oh, yeah. You could do all sorts of stuff, like roll... That's kind of bad. Roll to have someone be allergic to something where they never told you. Roll for someone to have an obscure allergy that they didn't ask about and have an allergic reaction. Stay away from any food made from primitive animals. Is that the Gog again? The serpents? Yeah. Cool. And I can see the recipes, especially from what y'all are talking about in the chat, recipes broken down into categories. Sorry, I'm still thinking about that streaming director. Just have someone, they'd have to be behind my screen, like my tech crew, who you don't see here. There's actually just a window here. There's no one directing me, but that would be, just be like, go to chat. Or they'd like wave me down when something important comes up. Well-worn family recipe. Handed down over generations. Recipe with lots of handwritten notes. Modifications. Going to the store because you don't, I'm gonna say because you can't cook because you don't think you can cook. Or you don't trust your ability to cook for yourself or others. And again, you could have different reasons behind all of these things. Internet recipe that you follow word for word. Pop culture recipe. Incredibly elaborate. I'm gonna say Martha Stewart. Oh my gosh. Martha Stewart recipe that you've never... I swear to God. I tried a couple of those for one Christmas. Some chocolate cookies and some key lime cookies. First of all, no one tells you that key limes are that big and you need to zest them. You need to zest like 50 of them and it takes forever. And then every other step of the recipe is like, okay, now put the vanilla bean pod into the milk and simmer it without boiling for 15 minutes. Then take the vanilla pod out and scrape the vanilla beans into the milk. And they weren't even that good. I mean, more steps to a recipe just means more steps to mess up, more complexity. You know, that's why I think often the simplest recipes are the best. Roll for whether you accidentally use salt instead of sugar in your cake. Oh my gosh. I always check. Like, I don't even know if that's happened to me. It probably came close to happening once. And now, just especially if I'm someone else's house, if there's like a big jar like this with a ton of white crystals in it, and you're like, no one has that much salt. You check. Or like a shaker. Like a salt shaker with like what definitely looks like salt in there. Be like, I should still check. Some weird person is gonna put sugar in a salt shaker. We're all gonna be sad. Have someone sitting in the hall watching the chat who yelled through the door. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Phil got off earlier. The reason I do it earlier is he has D&D after this, and our office is shared, so that would be a little tricky to do this while he's doing D. Although you would get to hear all his cool D&D stuff, which is very entertaining. But yeah, or get an intern. I feel like I really want an intern here. It's like, come to my apartment, sit in the hallway so no one can see you, and just yell at me. It's like, hey, something about gravy, probably. I want an intern that's, like, what's her name from Parks and Recreation? Aubrey Plaza. I forget what her character name is, though. But that would be great. Gravy! Martha Stewart recipe, step 1. Hire in-home help. Yes. More steps to failure. But you can just fail on the first step. Okay. It's on the cookbook. Well loved, somewhat chaotic, not perfect. Not perfect. I think that's the thing. It's like it's really good, but it's like never quite perfect. And the person cooking it too is like, man, this is usually so good. And you're like, this is amazing. They're like, yeah, but like the crispness on this one side is like a little, you're like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten before. New recipe. Because of a food intolerance, new partner. Oh my gosh. So that could be cool. Having a balance. I might need to have, instead of just having the recipe, I think there might not be quite enough of the framework here. Have the recipe. And then some extra details to flesh out your character. Yes, reason you're making this specific recipe with some prompts. I like the idea of prompts in a storytelling or role-playing game. It's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. I'm gonna say I have no trouble, again, doing the streaming and everything. Improv comes fairly naturally to me, but usually when it's pure improv, it's just craziness, like playing game event and then we died. You know, everything to me is just playing and then we die. It's like, and then a meteor smashes your kitchen and your souffle deflates and now what do you do? But that's not always the best way. Like, you tend to tell the same sorts of stories with those kinds of things. And it'd be interesting to play around with different things and see where your different options are for creating different types of experiences. And for people who don't feel as confident coming up with stuff, it can be nice to give them a little more motivation. A character that drinks too much wine while cooking. Yeah. See, that's the thing too. Not just that I think the recipes we cook say a lot about ourselves, but also there's a lot of emotion and tension and things bubble up, right, when we're cooking for other people. You know, what are my... You have to examine yourself and your relationships. I'm thinking a lot, way too much into this as well. So if at any time I'm saying this is the way things are, and you're like, no, most people just go to these things and don't really think about it, that could also be a thing of getting way too much into my own head. But I mean, looking back, my family would do gatherings, or sometimes we'd go to gatherings that would be like when I lived in Maine, we didn't have blood family close to us, but we knew people who had very big families. So sometimes we'd go to their gatherings and it would be their families and a few friend groups, or maybe a couple of families together. Everyone had big connected families who'd been in Maine forever. So they had a lot of relatives. And there was always details and drama. I don't think there wasn't usually like straight out fighting, but if you were an observant kid like me and kind of walked around seeing what everyone was doing, you'd pick up on some interesting stuff. But this is interesting because it's like the lead up to the dinner party. So it's not even, oh, we're at a dinner party and someone's going to find out a secret about someone else, but it's more the framing and the setup, which could be interesting. Is her name Julia by any chance? Video Garber says, I remember when I happened upon this channel and then started listening to Ludology again and heard you on there. That was a fun discovery. Cool. Yes. Man, it's weird how everything ties together. I was just doing a podcast interview with We're Not Wizards, talking about Ludology, starting Ludology, coming to the stream, going back and forth, just doing lots of fun stuff. I like to do all the stuff. I'm gonna switch from my coffee to my water. So where we're at now is I'm brainstorming for some of the games that I've been working on, discussing them, hearing y'all's feedback on the games, digging into them a little bit is helpful for me. Definitely interested to see if you like where this is going or if you prefer doing the pure brainstorming. Usually on this show, we just brainstorm ideas and mold those into something that looks like a potential kind of game design idea. But I realized that there's a lot of stuff that I'm working on that I haven't had a ton of time to move forward. So I'm like, what if I combine these things to talk about what I'm working on and get some ideas from everyone in the chat? Yeah, so that's side dish. I don't know, I'm interested to see if that seems like fun. If y'all, like, if you're playing this, would you want it to be more free form? Would you want more guidance? Would you want something more mechanical? Like I don't want it to be just rolling dice. Like, every role-playing game is just rolling dice. So what cool mechanic could be cooking related? Although, since it's going to go on itch.io right now, any components would have to be supplied by the person. So it'd have to be something. It wouldn't be. It's not. The idea for this isn't yet that it's going to be packaged. It's like a PDF, and then people bring together the other stuff to mechanize. There are some things I was thinking about, like cooking related, egg timer, flipping things in a frying pan. Oh my gosh. I didn't get a chance to play it, but I saw this game Shucks that had little like toy burners and a little toy frying pan and little shakers where you shook ingredients into the little toy frying pan. Just amazing components. There's also this game, Flapjack Flip Out, that has some cool paddle components. Paddle components. Actual food. I mean, it could be dice. Like, a lot of games use dice. I don't know why I'm rebelling so much against it. I love playing these games. It's like, I feel like I'm gonna wax philosophical here. What annoys me about dice? What I like about dice in a role-playing game is it can make you have to improvise. So in the ideal scenario in a game like Dungeons and Dragons, you're all set up to like chat with the governor or whatever. Like maybe you're a noble and you're chatting with the governor, and it's a totally normal situation. You're just like, oh, we just need to get a permit so we can go fight this dragon or whatever, you know, easy peasy. And you crit fail that, and somehow you have a slip of the tongue that totally offends the governor, and now you're running for your lives away from this city. Like, your plan was to go and fight this dragon, but now you have to completely come up with a new plan because you've offended the governor, and you like can't go back to that town anymore because the governor is so offended. So it simulates random chance that something totally different than you expected. So that's great. Cool. Awesome. What I don't like about it is it's a no in a lot of cases. You know, storytelling, role-playing games should be yes and as much as possible. An improv thing, right? Like, oh, I'm going to swing my sword and like knock off the dragon's scale, protecting its heart, and the ranger is like, I'm gonna shoot my arrow at just the right moment to shoot the exposed spot, and then the warlock or the cleric or whatever is like, yes, and I'm going to give guidance so that your arrow rings true, right? We're all working together, we're doing this cool synergistic thing. But with the dice, like, it'd be interesting if you had other options, but in a lot of cases you're like, we're gonna do all these cool things, and then you miss your roll, you flub your roll, and the person who was gonna knock off the dragon scale, it's like, oh, your blow glances aside, and now everyone else is like, okay, I'm just going to shoot my Eldritch Blast at the dragon because that's all I have left. So often it doesn't yes and. There's some remedies for that for some role-playing games. A concept called fail forward, where you fail something but you get better at your skill, or you fail something, it's like you shoot at the drone in Star Wars role-playing game, you miss the drone, but instead you shoot the door lock on the other side, closing the door, and now the horde of enemies can't get to you because they have to fix the door. And that can be cool too, but it does put a lot of pressure on people to come up with cool stuff and to like think about the environment, or for the GM to be super on their toes and have all these backup scenarios that can happen. So what I want, very long story short, what I want from a mechanic in a story or role-playing game is like in my game And Then We Died. You make a word. There's not a lot of rules for it. You don't have to check the dictionary to see if you spelled the word correctly. You just make a word, and then you don't even have to figure out what your word means or how to use your word because you hand the story off to someone else. So you've given them constraints for their part of the story and also inspiration for their part of the story. So it's good in two ways. So I want, I'll just say RPG. RPG game mechanics that provide interesting limitation and also inspiration. So something that says, oh, that thing you wanted to do, maybe you can't do it exactly the way that you thought you could do it, but here's a new direction. Like they'll say the adage, whenever a door closes, a window opens. Peter Garber, I got to meet Jeff not too long ago at Dallas Con. Totally starstruck. Yeah, Jeff is incredibly impressive. Yeah, Gil was at Grand Con. Nice. They had a faux ludology there with Jeff because someone on was in attendance. I was probably at the retreat, or shucks. Also, nobody asked me to go to Grand Con except for a gameologist who obviously knows everything. A faux ludology. That's funny. So I played a Gil game for the first time. Was at Dice Tower Con. Was it Networks or Wordsy? Gil makes amazing games. Or even High Rise. Like, there's a lot of great stuff in his portfolio. A cooking-inspired dice alternative? Yes. I mean, I realize that's also what I said, but now I'm thinking, like, cooking dice. Like, custom cooking dice, and that sounds like literally the best thing ever. Again, I already said, like, it's going to be tough to have custom components because this isn't yet going to ship in a package, but can you just imagine, like, dice faces are, now I'm going to do that one last. Stir, saute, add ingredient, taste, I'm gonna come up with 5 things. Taste, stir, you're adding stuff, oh shoot. Change, adjust heat, yeah. Adjust heat, and then on fire! That's my dice faces. Oh my gosh, I love custom dice. This is really helpful. Laser Kittens uses a deck of playing cards. Yeah, I have those somewhere. I'm looking in my bookshelf because I got Laser Kittens. I haven't actually displayed yet, but I should check that out and play around with it. To determine narrative outcomes. Now, yeah. Actually, yeah, I should really look at that now because that's definitely seems along the lines of what I'm doing. Maybe go collect recipe cards from your local grocery store to use somehow. So every game deck would be different depending on the recipe cards you find. Yeah! Oh my gosh, I remember those. I haven't seen that in years, I feel like, but I used to collect them as a kid because I was a weird kid. I love cooking and recipes, and I was like, look at this! My family made weird things too, like delicious things, but my parents would collect books and recipes from all sorts of different cultures and cook all of them too. So we would have pad thai, we would have Indian food was one of my favorite things to eat and cook. We'd have tacos and spaghetti and all sorts of different things, but we never had like pot roast. So I'd go to the grocery store and be a recipe for like pot roast and be like, oh my gosh, or like a pot roast is the one, and then meatloaf, that's the other one. Meatloaf. We never have meatloaf. So like get a recipe card for meatloaf. Be like, oh, I've never had meatloaf before. We should make meatloaf. Oh wait, is a la carte? Is that the one with the frying pans? Oh my gosh, yes it is. What? Yes, you're a genius. A la carte. Oh my gosh. Yes. If y'all haven't checked this out, you need to, because, again, I didn't get to play it. I don't know what the gameplay is like, but amazing components. Literally the best. Yes. Alright. Narrative cards. Spice shaker that dumps out random bits. Such a George Lucas trope. Write a bad script but make $1 billion anyways. Oh man. Yeah, this is the what's it? Fate? The Star Wars role-playing game with the failing forward. Isn't that a George Lucas thing? I love that, yeah. Sorry, George, you failed your dialogue check. Oh my gosh, this is the best thing. It's true. I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah, it was Networks. Oh, sweet. Networks is amazing. Yeah, I've played that a few times with friends. I haven't gotten it out in a while. I don't know if I've played with the expansion stuff. Yeah, we have limited expansions. I should bring that to the table again because it's such a good game. Such good flavor. You want to play High Rise? I got to test High Rise at Gamma. It was really cool. Like what Gil has done with the components, with your buildings getting taller, just the table presence of it is amazing. And then just everything else fits together really well. And yeah, and I think he's showing it off at a lot of cons, so now is the time to check it out. A die with letters is rolled, and the player thinks of a keyword that starts with that letter, which drives the result of the challenge. I like that too. Yeah. Also, custom dice. Oh my gosh, although now you say it, sorry, I'm getting very emotional right now. I'm mad because I don't have a dice that has letters on the faces. Is this a thing I can buy? I need this. Never thought about it before, but now that I've thought about it, I need it really bad. Dice with letters. What? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna buy it. It's on Amazon. Is it? This is the best thing ever. What? Okay, I'm gonna spend money on this, and who is that? Senior Bob? I blame you. But I'm also happy. I'm like happy mad at the same time. It's a real thing. Yeah, going like auto purchase into my cart right now. How do I put this in my cart? Yes! Oh my gosh, and that's something you can just buy. That's really cool. I do like that as a component. I want to play around with that. Blind bag token draw with a brown paper grocery bag, shaped bag. So it replicates unpacking the groceries when someone else shops. No telling what you might find. Okay, that's departing a little bit from what I was thinking, but I actually really like that. I realize I'm not drawing or taking a lot of notes over here, but new page. Paper. Grocery bag. It's got the little like crimped edges. You got your handles. What's inside? So I don't usually have this experience because I usually do the grocery shopping. Although sometimes, what did I buy? Sometimes I forget in the flurry, especially if I'm shopping while hungry, I'll pull out like a cake or a cupcake or something. I'll be like, oops, I guess I did buy that. Who put this in my bag? Me. But yeah, someone else buying, you're like, why did you get marshmallows, like blueberry flavored marshmallows? And they're like, I don't know, I saw it and I wanted to buy it. I wouldn't be mad about that. I love weird stuff. Someone came home with like sesame rice seasoning, or like a new type of bagel, like a cinnamon roll bagel or something. I'd be like, yes.
Sorry, I don't understand.
No, I'm not talking to you, Google. Bagel, not Google. I love that. Google's just, hey, Google could be my stream host. What do you think about that, Google?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Stop listening. Perfect stream host. Sorry, I don't understand. This made me think, I hadn't really thought about this before. Surprise ingredients from the peanut gallery. Chorus. So for the people who aren't in the scene, maybe they could, one of the wrenches they could throw into the works would be a surprise ingredient. Because I'm seeing them as the people who put in this, put in the special sauce. Who make things interesting for the people who are in the scene. Just improv is kind of tricky for a lot of people. I just want to make games that make it easy for people to improv and have fun. And have fun while doing it. I've had meatloaf for 3 meals in the past 2 days. Again, I never had meatloaf growing up. I might have had it like once or twice before. I had it recently. Where was I? While traveling. I think it was in Vancouver for Shucks. Was it Vancouver? Yeah. It was a lot. It was like it was like a big loaf. It was probably too much. And it was tasty, but it makes me a little concerned for like, especially such a big, like the middle of it. I'm like, it's probably cooked, but it's kind of moist too, which is probably supposed to be moist. I don't know. It's just, again, maybe not growing up with it. Again, it tasted very good. It just weirds me out a little bit. Boggle. Wait, are these boggle dice? I'm a squirrel energy is really high today. Squirrel! Squirrel! Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because I did a podcast earlier today, but I realized I'm speaking very fast and coming up with a lot of ideas very quickly. I hope that's okay with you all. I can slow down. I also just had coffee. I was drinking coffee earlier on screen. It was not tea today. It was coffee. So, a lot of hype. I'm also just hyped to be working on some of these games and come up with ideas for them. Also, smorgasbord game. Something smorgasbord related for our stream title. Because we're talking about food games and also multiple different games. One of my minor pet peeves is when someone gets groceries but they don't buy anything. So you're all like, I love your, I don't even know if it's sarcasm or what it is, but it's just like, just a lot of the deadpanness. It's like you're saying something totally normal, but I find it hilarious. It's like, buy groceries, don't buy anything you can actually make a meal out of. I'm guilty of this sometimes. I do meal planning a little bit. I like think of the kinds of things we should eat. I try and have all the ingredients. But as someone who also gets distracted by tasty things, and you forget a thing, that's why I always have a list. I have like a very detailed list of the things that I'm going to buy. Because otherwise, it's like, oh, what are we having tonight? Spaghetti and meatballs. But without spaghetti, apparently, because we don't have any. So we'll use rice. Rice and meatballs. Oops. Or it's like tacos, but without tortillas. So we'll make lettuce tacos instead. Gluten-free. It is annoying. But for this, like, that could be a mechanic. Like, we're thinking, like, oh, you do salt instead of sugar, you have to substitute an ingredient, but potentially making it more a focus of the game. Each person forgets, loses, needs to replace a specific core ingredient in the recipe. Okay, this is an interesting direction. Chaos ensues. So I talked about each recipe having 5 core ingredients and each one being a story beat. So setting up the scene, you know, building tension, something happens, and then ending the scene. Ingredient story beats. Ingredient 1, set up the scene. 2 through 4. Action pursues. That's not the right word. Ensues. Action ensues. One of these is missing and or needs to be replaced. Lettuce goes bad, whatever. I also like just being a troll too. So this is the people in the scene don't know which one it's gonna be, so they're unprepared. And have to respond. So 1 of 3 ingredients in the recipe could just have an issue. And what I like about that too, ingredient 5 is the denouement. What I like about that too is it has and then we died feel to it. Because in Then We Died, everyone dies at the end of the game, so you know that you're building up to something. Oh, whoops. And you don't know when exactly it's gonna happen. Although Then You Died, you know. So everyone is preparing and setting the stage. Because you're yes-anding the different people in the scene. So it's like, go back to this. So this only has 4, but say, so like first we have the eggs, you know, eggs. We're getting ready to make pannekaka, which is a Norwegian pancake similar to crepes. I get out the eggs. I always like to warm them up when I'm making it. I'm really excited about cooking this recipe for this game night. Say it's a game night. We're going to a game night. Never been to a game night with these people before, but I like them. I want to make a good impression, so I'm cooking a recipe that I know really well. And I'm going to be driving over there with my friend Chris. And so I have Chris come over and we're going to work on this recipe together. And then it's like flour comes up. I'm like, is this going to be the one? They don't say anything. Eggs. Oh man, salt's gonna be a tough one. Flour. Yeah, so I get the flour out of the cupboard. Maybe do some act out the cooking process. Like improv. Alright, taking the flour, sifting it. I'm gonna write a question for myself. How much talk in describing my actions? How much having a conversation with other people in the scene? Yeah, so part of this game is going to be something has changed since you last prepared this recipe. So this is a part. So since I last made panakaka, I got married. So that would be a seed, pun intended, for... So I'm talking to Chris about getting married, you know, it was really great, had a really fun time, went away to a cabin in the woods and just like relaxed, and it was a really great experience. Fine, so we get to salt, and this is the one, it's like, it's gonna be the salt. So you go to get the salt, and you discover aliens living inside your salt shaker. So it could be like, it could be bizarre, it could be normal, maybe these are things that you can agree on before starting the game. So like, what do you do now that there's aliens living in your salt shaker, and how does this change and shape the story? Blueberry marshmallows, best s'mores ever. Lol at Google. Google. Oh, yeah. You're great, Google. I say Google, now she's gonna start talking to me again. Sorry, I don't understand. Hey Google, thank you.
I aim to please.
Ah, you see? Use nice porcelain tokens that you can wet erase right on. A custom game in every bag. Ooh, this is cool. Actually, back to Kickstarter for dry erase tokens that I'm excited about because I think they'll be really good components. Canadian meatloaf is in fear. No, the food in Vancouver is really good. Or even out of the basic elements of food, you are the tarragon, and you ate all the tarragon and you drank all the soy sauce. That's great. You drank the soy sauce. Ooh, yeah, because aliens, and this is where you can introduce some of the flavor, right? Your roommates used up all the lemons, you can add extra characters in here, and again, like, I'm not in the scene. Me and like maybe one or two other people, we're not in the scene, so we're talking about you, and we're collaboratively making your character, which I would also really enjoy. Collaboratively making each other's characters. So say like your roommates used up all the lemons, so all of a sudden you have roommates, right? And you're like, wait, I don't have roommates. No, it's true. I said that it exists, and now it exists. So now you can work that, you can build up on the story, working your roommates into it. Or you go to look for sugar and it's gone. You don't know what could have happened. You live alone. Maybe you're going crazy. And you never bought sugar. Or someone broke into your house. Lots of things that could go on there. Tacos, but with story beats. Tacos, but with chicken nuggets. I know. Actually, Actually, I'm gonna tell Phil about that because he loves chicken. I feel like he'd be into that. I feel like that would be good. Oh my gosh, now I want to try that. I don't have any chicken nuggets though. I have all the other ingredients for tacos. Chicken nugget tacos. I feel like that would be an abomination, but I mean, if you got some nice chicken nuggets, I've never made them from scratch before. Well, I made like chicken tenders. Chicken tenders. Oh my gosh, chicken tenders and a taco with some salsa and cheese actually sounds really good. I had a fun time getting married, lol. that was my like 2-second synopsis. I was also talking with Richard earlier from We're Not Wizards about having gotten married within the last year. And that's gonna be on the podcast too. It's gonna come. I was like, yeah, we got married, we eloped, it was great. It was fun. We went to tree houses and it was a very fun, personal, special time, and it was great. It's a nice thing about eloping, you know, if you're doing a whole wedding thing, I feel like you might have a lot more to say about it. We're like, no, everything was perfect and fun and enjoyable, and would do again. Would get married again. Had a fun time getting married like you do. Well, not me, but Google Streaming Director, new app idea. The Witch Next Door rated your spice rack. Yeah, that's perfect. So this is the kind of stuff... And I like coming up with these design ideas. I feel like a lot of times I just come up with more questions for myself that I don't know immediate answers to. How directed do I want things to be versus freeform? For these types of games, or for the ones I'm designing and working on right now, I kind of feel like I want to lean in the direction of being more directed. Because people can always do whatever. I mean, Dungeons & Dragons, like, in space with My Little Pony, right? Like, you can do anything, and people will do that. But they'll do it whether there's rules or not. So I feel it's better to include a framework for the people who need it, and then the people who don't are like, oh, this is great, but I'm going to do my own thing. Streaming Director, new app idea. Yeah, have an app that's like, hey, pay attention to stuff and stop being a squirrel. Squirrel. Like, am I the squirrel? Or am I the dog who is distracted by squirrels? There's no way to know. Email just says, my grandparents eloped, but that was mostly because my grandpa was too young to get married in most states. My nana was a great lover. Oh yeah, this is a good story. Yeah. Yeah, we eloped just to save on the hassle. We eloped because it was December and we wanted to save on taxes. Well, that's part of the answer. We just wanted to, I don't know, we've been together for so long. It's kind of like, I feel like we're already married. Might as well just get the paperwork for it. And we got an elopement package. Like, neither of us wanted to spend a year and thousands of dollars doing something crazy. So we're like, this is a lot cheaper and funner and easier and less stressful. So cool. So in conclusion, this is great, y'all. Thank you for your contributions to this. I know we're doing a little different than we usually do. Again, always interested to hear your feedback. If you're having fun, enjoying it, if you hate everything and don't ever want to join my stream again, don't tell me that. Just leave quietly if that's your feeling about what's happening here. But yeah, it's nice to work on something that I'm very focused on getting out here, because this is something still gonna look over and think a little bit after the stream about the different components we're talking about here, how much of prompts I want to have, how how much I want the people to supply on their own. like that could be a barrier to entry, right? Someone's like, oh, this looks like a really cool game, but I don't have X, Y, and Z, so I can't play it. But I did want to come... Where's the bag idea? Yeah, blind bag, token draw. Yeah, highlight this. People... Yeah. I was gonna say something like you would have your paper bag with your ingredients in it. With actual ingredients. Or pictures of ingredients. Oh my gosh, ingredient meeples! Tokens might be easier, but now I want to have like egg meeples and flour meeples, flour sack, meat meeples. They could be, yeah. Gameologist had said the blind bag token draw. So you could use that to find out which ingredient. And I'm thinking, like, I just want to work and then we died. Like, every game I make is just going to ship with and then we died, because the word generation from that is a pretty easy way to add some interesting prompts into the game. Like, if you made witch as a word, play this game, purchase separately, and then we died, and use it to play this game. Because the witch thing is great. You know, that's like, how much for this sort of a game do you want to rely on the people to come up with a weird, interesting thing without any sort of a prompt? You know, that's another design question for consideration. People to come up with without any sort of prodding. And I don't really want to do like a deck of inspirations. You know, there's like an aliens card or a witches card. I think about games that come with specific content like that, and what I like, and then we died for prompts, is it can get old. Old if it's too specific, witches, I can't spell, or not be helpful if it's too vague. Like, go on a journey. Like, the words in "and then we died" really just makes it, you make the words, and there's like 5 or 6 words you can make on your turn. You may or may not see them all, but most games have a very wide range of words that are created, and you see not as many repeats as you would think. So prompts is something... It's like those Cards Against Humanity, or a lot of those judge games where the game relies almost entirely on the entertainingness, in heavy quotes, of the content that's provided, and the people put almost no work whatsoever into adding to that. Or you have a game that's halfway, like Super Fight, where you put in about half of the work, and then on the other end of the spectrum, storytelling role-playing game, like Conspire, one of my friend's games, where you make it from scratch. Like, you have rules, but it ends up being very different depending on who is putting together the stuff for it. Kimosabe, falafel. I love you just come in here, you're like, and falafel. I'm gonna add that to my game design document, because I don't know where it will go yet, but this is what I'm saying. Someone just puts in a random word and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, everything makes sense now. Everything is unlocked. I love posting that GIF where it's just like the math and the person's like, everything makes sense now. The Matrix. I see the numbers in the world. All right. Cool. This is great. I actually thought we were going to get through more of the games that I'm working on, but this has been super helpful for Side Dish. And again, this one, the game jam is over in 4 days, so this is one that I need to get out. I can test it tomorrow, as long as it doesn't completely fall apart. Post a version of it. Make a public version that people can do like print and play, give some quick feedback, and then have it up there for the contest. That's my intention. Because as I mentioned on streams recently, I want to get more stuff out there, and I think this is a perfect opportunity. Seize the day, right? Just to get something out, because it's been a while since I've released a new thing. This could be that opportunity. All right, other things that we didn't get to that I'm working on: Secret Badge Club. Man, I don't even have my tagline for this. Create each other's characters using badges a la Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. An episodic RPG storytelling game where badges evolve your character over 10 sessions. Start out with Secret Badge Club goes to camp. Space botany. Mash plants together very scientifically to make new species. Exploit them. Split the loot. Build a deck. Give half of it away. Points. Now I'm like, what else am I working on? You Look Awful. Unnamed 18 card karaoke game for the Button Shy contest. New contest. This month is 18 card game you can play without a table. JR and I are looking to put this one together. We have 8 days. That's probably not gonna happen, but maybe, who knows? Have you had enough cheese? Probably missing some stuff. Yeah, that's all the stuff I'm working on. Just talking about it and brainstorming has been super helpful. I think we're going to do more of that going forward on the stream. For now, we're getting kind of close to wrapping up. Usually go for about 2 hours, wrap up around 6. I had mentioned at the beginning of the stream, usually what we've done in the past is do a brainstorm and come up with a new design concept. I do want to work on more of the stuff that we come up with here because we have some really good ideas. And I don't want those to just be lost to the wayside. But I think everyone has a really fun time with the brainstorming, coming up with new stuff. So what I'm testing, I'm workshopping the stream live with y'all. So hope you enjoy that. So let's test right at the end of our stream, wrapping up, getting some good brainstorm, brain energy with coming up with a completely new game idea in about 10 minutes. Usually we spend like an hour and a half on this, so might completely fall apart. I'm going to do a mind map. Start with a concept. Come over here. New game idea. start with the concept, do a mind map, see what kind of a game that we can come up with. Our constraint is we have about 10 minutes to do this whole thing. I've got food on the brain, so unless someone has... I was gonna say, unless someone has a suggestion, Kimosabe did say falafel. So even though that was posted before I got to this part, I feel like that's as good of an inspiration as anything. So sure, let's start our brainstorm mind mapping with falafel. Falafel is chickpea flour, I believe. Or at least ground chickpeas. I don't think it's quite quite fine enough for flour. And seasonings. And it is deep fried. Very healthy. It is delicious. And you can make a wrap with it. Round foods. I like that. What are the foods we have that are round? Sesame balls. Yes, it all comes back to sesame balls. Ugh. Full circle. Huh? We've gone full circle here. Started the stream with sesame balls, and now we're back. I'm not gonna have enough space to write. It says sesame balls. Ooh, important question though. Is it round or spherical food? I'm gonna say, because round could be cookies, could be like a flat. So I'm gonna mod this to be spherical. Sesame balls, meat, anything with balls. Falafel, sesame balls, meatballs. Those other... Lots of different rice flour desserts. Peanut butter balls. Again, that's a secondary question. Are there any round foods other than falafel that don't have balls in the name? Peanut butter balls. A scoop of ice cream. I'm already starting to have some ideas about this. This is great. Ice cream scoops. They're mostly spherical, depending on how well you scoop it. Meatballs. Rolls. Rolls can be pretty spherical. I'll put rolls in there. Rolls, candy. There's like gumballs, again with the term balls in it. Alright, so we've just gone straight to spherical foods. It's not a game yet, but that's also a good stream title. Alright, spherical foods. Meatballs, gumballs, rolls, scoop, falafel, Scotch eggs. Oh, yes, that's a good one. That's an amazing. Good call, game biologist. Ferrer, I don't know how to spell that. Yes. Close enough. Ferrer, impossible to spell. Falafel makes me think of New York City, like street food. Ooh. I like that as well. Ooh, okay. Couple of different directions here. Game is called Will It Roll? Can this food be made spherical? Because I was saying, will it roll? And like, oh, can you roll it up into a sphere, but also like down a hill? There is a cheese wheel rolling game, I believe. So wouldn't want to step on that, step on those toes. Food truck, street food, but your goal, but everything you make is spherical. You need to figure out which foods people want made into balls. Sandwich balls, burger balls, fry balls, chow mein balls, taco balls. This is so bizarre. Oh my gosh. It's just like, and our entry into the street fair food truck is ball foods. Food balls. It makes me think of like being a hamster or something. Food balls. Oh shoot. Snowballs. Snowball is an actual food, right? Isn't that like a Little Debbie's cake? Oh my gosh, it is without a W. Wait, it's Hostess, right? Is Little Debbie's a thing? Didn't one of those go away forever? Snacks. Yeah, there we go. What else we got here? Seems like this is asking for a baller pun title. Baller. Cheese balls. Oh my gosh, I can't even keep up now. Cheese balls, cheese curds. Yeah, I'll allow it. Fur ball. Sure. I mean, I don't know if I would want to eat that, but maybe it's a colloquial term. Lemon truffles. Definitely not using, doing a search engine for this. Foods that are round. Lemon truffles, any type truffles. Will it roll? Sounds like a Katamari offshoot. Yeah, that's great. I mean, we're talking about food. Katamari is very much about eating. My friend's actually making a Katamari board game. He's like, you've played Katamari. I'm like, somehow I've not played Katamari, and I think that it would be a game that I really enjoy, and I need to play it. I love this, like, just a mass market game that's just about taking different foods and trying to sphericize them. Is that a verb? I'm making it a verb. Oh, shoot. Taking different foods, trying to sphericize them with greater and lesser success. Spherical disaster. Chibico, it could be a roll and write game. Oh my gosh. I love that. Need to roll up all the ingredients, Katamari style. Yes. I mean, that could be a dexterity game. I don't know exactly how you would simulate that, but I feel that there's some space to play around with there. Either, how would you simulate? Physically with Play-Doh or something, or actual food. Sounds super gross. Or smoosh them into a ball, or I don't know, metaphorically. We're just going crazy here, okay? I don't even know how any of this is gonna work, but it's all great. Snowballs are more a hemisphere. I mean, they probably were a sphere, and then they sat and became less spherical. Snowballs are devil's food cake. Okay. I know what devil's food cake is, but when I read that, I was thinking, like, snowballs are the devil's food. Food for the devil. The Devil's Food. That's also a good game name, right? The Devil's Food. A little punny, I like that. Devil's Food cake with cream-filled filling wrapped in marshmallow and rolled in pink coconut. Not that I'm an expert or anything. Game biologist. That sounds good. I'm not a huge fan of coconut. I feel that everything up until that point, I was super excited. Spinach balls, yeah. Shoot, what was that food that's the best food ever from Hostess Game Biologist? Help me out here. The special one that you brought for me. I'm my brain blanking right now, but that one. I don't think it's a sphere, but I just remember that. It was tasty. Blaze. Spinach blaze. Blaze. Cream puffs. Tapioca. Tapioca. Tomatoes. That's a good one. Okay, all I see over here is crocodiles. I don't see how that's related, but I'll get there. Tapioca. Those liquid filled juice balls you get in bubble tea sometimes. I'm sure they have a technical term. Crocodiles, yes! Oh, you know my brain. Oh, Phil said crocodiles. Crocodiles is close, but I leave chocodiles the technical term. Maybe a dice builder. Ooh. Yeah, I like that. With the rolling action to it, looks like there's a lot of space to play around with there. Round game components that you should definitely work in somehow. No rice ball. I have sesame balls. It's made with rice flowers, but no, of course, rice ball. Rice ball, of course. Also very round and very tasty. Oh my gosh. Are you doing more game components? Oh. Inflatable bumper ball. Oh, that's, yes. That is perfect. A fellow coconut hater. High five. High five. I had, here in Seattle, there's these Tom Douglas restaurants. It's a cook dude. It's not super important. Anyways, they're known for their cream pie. And everyone's like, you have to, their coconut cream pie. So it's like, you have to eat the coconut cream pie. It's like the best ever. I'm like, I don't really like coconut. They're like, yeah, but this one is like, it's not even really coconut. And I had it. I'm like, yeah, that's, I mean, of all the things that are coconut, that's probably the least offensive coconut thing that I've eaten before. I like fresh coconut, though. I love, like, eating a coconut. I love coconut milk. Just like mostly the dried coconut. I like young coconut, like when it's soft. But like the shaved or preserved or dried coconut, like, not a big fan. Coconut is trash. Man, sorry. Coconut is trash, says Kimasabe. Yeah, hopefully there's no coconut lovers in the chat. Sorry, don't want to offend anyone, but I mean, opinion seems to be pretty strong on our side. I'm just saying. Ooh, yes, I was going to copy a dice builder. I like that idea too. Cool. All right, so that was our 10 minutes. We went a little over, actually. I am actually incredibly impressed with our progress here. Like I had mentioned, usually we do the whole stream about coming up with a new game idea and work on it for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. That was 10 minutes. We came up with something game adjacent, I guess I will say. Maybe not a complete idea, but something you could make a lot of different games from building off this idea. As always with the ideas we come up with on stream, I say, I don't know what the official legal way to say this is, but ideas are cheap. Like, nobody owns things that they just say and put on the internet. So if anything we talk about here inspires you to create your own games and go in your own direction, obviously I would say for me or anyone, don't copy someone's complete game and try to sell that to someone, that would be a little weird, but if you take the seeds of these ideas and grow new game plants from them, that is awesome and amazing, and something I hope you do. If you're looking for inspiration in your own game design, this is a great way to get it. Talk with, even if you're not doing it on stream, talk with your friends, hit me up on Twitter, talk to people at conventions. I want to see more people coming up with more cool ideas together, because I think we can be more creative as a group than as individual people. Just look at this. Look at this great mind map brainstorm we have here. This is absolutely fabulous, and I love it. We also, y'all helped me out a lot with my side dish game. Made a lot of progress there. As I mentioned, I'm nervous, but I want to get this up for our little food jam. I think I've spent too much time waiting for the perfect moment to get more games out there. I think this one's good enough, and I think it could be great if I got it out there and got some more feedback. So I'm going to try and, it feels so intimidating to say that, I'm going to try and get it ready for testing for tomorrow, and then probably post it online, post it on Twitter. Would love to get some feedback and thoughts on the different components, and then get it up for the game jam. We're going to do it. I'm saying it out loud on the internet, and so it's true. Cool. Yeah. Well, I think that's about all the time I have for today. Coconut's not a true nut. I love it. Just checking with the chat one more time. Coconut custard cream pie recipe. Throw all the ingredients in a blender and then pour it into a pie plate. It becomes a pie. Love it. If you like eating sawdust, that's cool. But seriously, everyone in the chat is under NDA. Yes, I own everything. Mwahaha, it's my secret plan. Well, I didn't tell you the most secret stuff. That comes later. Secret chat. Forget that I'm making a food game based on the last chat. Yeah, do it. I want to see more food games. There are not nearly enough food games in the world. All right, that's enough from me for today. Hope you have a great rest of your week. As a reminder, we're doing our casual gaming streams on Thursdays now instead of Fridays. So if you want to hang out and watch Phil and I play, usually Magic, but some other games as well, definitely come and join us for that. This has been really fun. If you ever have any feedback or thoughts on the stream or the chat, feel free to reach out to me. I always like chatting with people. You can hit me up here or on Twitter. If you have game design ideas to share, I would love to listen to, talk about those as well. Yeah, that's about it for me for today. I will see you around the table. Bye. Bye. Bye.